Hello guys, today will not be a preaching video, but I figured I would sit down and talk to you guys a little bit about why I become a preacher. You see, ladies and gentlemen, back in 2017, 2018, maybe even earlier than that, I started classes for 2 years to get my preaching certificate. And eventually, sometime in my life, I will receive the other half of my preaching certificate to receive my associate's degree in ministry. But I studied for 2 years in Crown College to receive my preaching certificate in ministry. And that was right before my mother passed away. And you may be thinking, how does a man go from a person that left us from our church for 12 years, didn't really care about the Bible, didn't really want to know about what the Bible was and anything like that, to a fighter for 27 years in martial arts, to a preacher. How does that happen? Well, honestly, I don't know. Did I want preaching to be my career? No. I wanted to be a doctor. But sometimes you just fall into things, and things fall into place, and things fall where they need to be, and then you end up at the right place at the right time. So I studied for 2 years doing that. Then when I was 29, my mother passed away. Unfortunately. Today, in fact. And it started to be a mental breakdown for me. It started to be a mental shutdown. I didn't want to talk to anybody for a month. I didn't really want to do ministry work for a month. Now, before I started studying to be a preacher, I was a youth group assistant for 2 years. But going back, it was just a cluster of emotions when my mother passed away. I mean, the entire thing of what I'm gonna do now, how I'm gonna pay my bills, how am I gonna run my house, how am I gonna take care of my mother's dog. I mean, don't get misunderstood. I'm doing okay now. Everything's perfect now. I mean, I take care of my mother's dog, I take care of my house, I make sure my bills are paid, all that type of stuff. But back then I was like, how am I gonna do all this? And my caretaker she walked me through every step of the way, how to pay my bills, how to take care of everything, how to set everything up in my name, how to basically do everything that I needed to do. And you see, when my brother was here after my mom passed away, they said, "Oh, we'll help you. We'll help you with the burial bill and everything, and so it's not so much on you." Well, turns out that they left the same day. They signed the paperwork for my mother's burial and left. Or my mother's cremation and left. So they left me with a $1,700 payment for my mother to be cremated. And put where she is now. And I'm saying this because I want to be completely transparent, completely honest. So that was another plate on my shoulders of how am I going to do this. And luckily my church stepped in and said, "We'll pay the burial bill for you, the remaining balance." Which at that time I only had about $700 on the burial bill. Thanks to my aunt calling my uncle, which my mother didn't talk to my uncle probably in about 15-20 years. Now don't get messed up here. I'm glad for everybody and what they did. Not so much putting everything on my shoulders, but I'm glad for everybody and what they did. So, but skipping forward here a little bit, I dove myself into my work. I dove myself into ministry. I dove myself into being a leader, being a example, being a minister, if you will. Of course, I use that term very lightly because I can't very baptized yet, but I use that. I buried myself into my work, and it started working. I was getting calls to preach here, there, wherever in the state. And I would go about once every week and preach for the Union Mission down in Charleston, and everything was going perfect. I mean, to the point where I was wondering, how does a person like me get all this work, not even being a preacher for 2 years. I mean, this all happened in like a year and a half, and I'm like, how? You know, it just blew my mind. And during me doing my work, I found peace. I found relaxation, if you will, and a form of calmness that I haven't had in many years. I started thinking that everything was going to be okay, and don't misunderstand anything. Everything is okay. It's just things got off track, and I'm not doing as much work as I need to be doing, but I guess that's life. I mean, things take a toll and everything shuts down due to the pandemic, and you don't get those calls anymore that you should be getting, and I feel like I have to build my reputation out there in the ministry field again, and be somebody that can be respected, be somebody that people can look up to, and know that if they give me a job, that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to complete it, and that it will be completed to the best of my ability, and not seen as something that can be taken lightly, or with all due respect. And because when I'm called to a job, I don't take the job that I'm called to lightly. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I don't say it's an honor to be here, or to be in the position that I am in when I'm called to preach or do whatever. But I feel that I'm the one that's got to deliver the message. I'm the one that's got to do it in a correct way, in a correct manner, in a correct ministry outlook. You know, I had a few preaching engagements scheduled right when the pandemic hit, and that really messed with my mind a little bit. I hope to get back to those engagements and complete those before no, not before, but sometime within the near future. But why did I become a preacher? I mean, I guess the long and short of it is, guys, that I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a change. Not so much the world. Because let's face it, guys, one person can't change the world. You see, my mom once said, if you look at yourself in a mirror and you want to be whatever, doctor, lawyer, home health care home health care worker, preacher, teacher, anything. She said if you look at yourself into a mirror and you want to be who you want to be at the end of the day, after you're done looking in that mirror, then you are who you want to be. You just gotta find a way to get there. I didn't come into preaching thinking I was gonna change the world. No. I just wanted to change one soul at a time. One mind at a time. One spirit at a time. One heart at a time. You know, I say all these things about my mother's burial and everything because I want to be transparent. I want to be... I don't want to hide anything. From you, from Facebook, from my family. And yeah, I've talked to my brother after this, and I understand why he did it. But still didn't make it easier on me. You see, back in 2017, I was engaged to be married, believe it or not. But through all this issues with my mother and it messing with my head, I pushed away. There's one person that probably cared about me in the way that my family can't. And yes, I have a good relationship with my caretaker. Yes, I have a good relationship with some people in my family. Others I don't. Others I do. But I didn't come into preaching thinking I was going to change the world. I did it because I wanted to change one person's mind at a time. Because one of my preacher friends, hi Ron, said to me one night, he's like, look, maybe you're doing this because you can do something you can't. I can't. I said, what do you mean? He said, maybe you can reach people. I can't because of the way you are. And I started to open my mind and really analyze, really think about those statements. And I said, I think he's right. From that statement, I started sitting back and watching all my preachers, all my teachers, all my youth group pastors, and all my friends, and how they did ministry work, and I started learning, and I started really paying attention and really finding my own groove, if you will, my own way of really doing things. And but I didn't get into this because I wanted my self-gratitude and I wanted to be a famous preacher. Guys, I don't want to be a famous anything. I don't want to be a Joel Osteen or I want to say Joyce Meyer, but I don't want to be one of them preachers on TV. That's not me. I'm fine with just walking into a church, doing what I gotta do as far as preaching, and then leaving. You know, I'm not in this to be famous. I'm not in this to make money. Even though it would help sometimes. But I'm not in this to make money. I'm in this to change people's thinking about life. You see, you may say, how do you change people's way of thinking? Okay, let's open the scenario for a minute. Okay, say you're a preacher, okay? And you walk up and you talk to the same person and they say, no, I really don't think about getting saved right now. I really don't think about joining the church right now. I really don't think about this, that, whatever. And I walk up to the exact same person a week, 2 weeks from now. And I talk to them, give them the whole thing. Do you know Jesus? Do you know you're going to die? Do you know when you die, if you're going to go to heaven or not? The whole preacher thing. And they say, well, I had a preacher talk to me 2 weeks ago. And I told him I didn't think I was ready. And I'm like, look, I talked to the man. I'm like, look, I'm not here to make you do it. I'm not here to force you to do it. You do it if you want to do it, but here's what I've got to say about the subject. And if you choose to do it, then that's your choice, not mine. But here's what I got to say. And it changes his mind. Like, if he can do it, maybe I can do it. Or if he can be somebody that's respected in the community, maybe I can too. It's like taking a homeless man and giving them a new house or a new car. You change your life just by that one act of kindness. Food, clothing, anything. But that one act of kindness changes people's lives. And that's why I wanted to do this. You see, my first year working for the ministry, for the youth group program at my church, I had a little girl walk up to me and ask me, Brother Ricky, why are you in a wheelchair? And I said, honey, I was just born this way. And she looked at me with all genuine sincerity and said, well, Brother Ricky, I hope you get better. And that right then and there, I knew I was doing the right thing. And I looked looked back at her and I said, honey, I may not get better now, but one day I will. And she just walked away. That's why I stayed with my church for 6 years. That's why I stayed in the program for 6 years. Even though there was 2 years that I thought about leaving and doing my own ministry work and seeing what comes of it. But ladies and gentlemen, today it would be 4 years since my mother's been gone. Doesn't seem that long. Does it bother me? Yes. Do I know she's in a better place? Yes. Do I have resentment on my family for what they did to me when she passed away? No. Because I know why they did it. Guys, I can't believe it's been 4 years. 4 years since my mother's been gone. You see, and every time I had an issue, I could just go to my mother. Every time I had an issue at work, I could just go to my mother and ask her, Mom, what do I need to do in this situation? Because what you don't realize, guys, is we're not given a manual on how to do this job. We're not given a instruction book on how to do the ministry or how to do the kids programs or anything. We're just given some simple basic instructions and they say, here you go, and put you to work. I mean, but long and short of it, guys, is I became a preacher to help people with whatever I could do. You see, when life tells you you're not gonna live even past your first birthday, and you live till you're about 13 and they tell you again you won't live past whenever, and you live until you're 33. And they don't know all the answers, guys. They don't know all the answers. They have no clue. My mom said the day that they told her I wouldn't live past my first birthday, even past the day I was born, she said, my son's a fighter. And my brother said, my brother's a fighter. And he's gonna fight. And he's gonna prove you wrong. So I'm telling you now, I'm gonna fight to gain that respect in the ministry again. And I'm gonna prove them wrong. listen to my words. I'm gonna prove you wrong and come back better than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, with that said, thank you. Good night. God bless. Mom, I miss you. I love you. I know you're doing better. I hope to see you soon. Just watch what your son's gonna do next. But with that said, guys, thank you and good night.